Well, good evening. This is Robert Phoenix doing my version of digital camping as I continue to move into my new studio and new domicile. What's happening out there? So we have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm probably going to go for about an hour. Hey, what's going on? There's Heather and Matt. Okay, just to stay kind of. Here's Sally. Things are going pretty well. Just to stay within the tenor of the times, right? I got to represent. Here we go. I just have to represent. Hey, Lori, what's going on there? Lori's a neighbor now. She lives down the road. So this is hi Jennifer. This is where the new broadcast is going to take place, and I'm still kind of working with stuff. So how is everybody dealing with Mercury retrograde out there? Is it something? Is it okay? Let me give you a little Mercury retrograde story. So today, hi Charla. So today, okay, I live in a place where there aren't too many shopping options. All right, so I have to be honest and say that I went to Costco, not Costco, but Walmart today, because there isn't a lot out here. And yeah, everything is breaking. Oh, it's Linda. Yeah, everything's breaking. So I went to Walmart today. Well, first of all, I went to Ace Hardware's. Hi, Judy. Thanks for staying up. I went to Ace Hardware because I wanted to get a bolt for my bed to put my bed together because it was missing a bolt. So I go to Ace Hardware and I size it up. I got the other bolt. Looks like it's going to work. And then I go to Walmart to go get my shelves that I need to use for storage outside this place. So I get everything and I come home and I realize that the shelf is broken. So I have to drive back. I have to drive back to Walmart and take the shelf back. It's a plastic shelf. It's from China. I know. I don't have many options here. I'm feeling what it's like to be a flyover state for the first time in my life. So I bring it home. I get it done. Hey, Sandra. Nice to see you. And so I bring it home, I get it done, and then I'm like, okay, I'm getting into my bed. I'm gonna put my bed together. So I go in, I put the bolt, and the bolt is wrong. So I go back to Ace Hardware, because that's the other thing we have here is Ace Hardware. And so I get another bolt and I bring it home. And that bolt isn't big enough either. And I realize that my bed frame is a piece of shit. So I decide that I'm not going to have this bed frame. Then I go online and I buy a new bed frame. But I do get, so it took me 3 trips into town, which is not that far away. But it was a total Mercury retrograde clusterfuck. Oh, so you got bolts for your futon today. Well, I'm glad. Did it work out for you, Occult Priestess? Because it certainly, my bolts wound up costing me $193. That's what my bolts cost me because I was not happy with my bed frame. So I wound up getting a new bed frame. That's why it cost me $193. I went to get a 35-cent bolt, and I realized my bed frame was shit, so I needed a new one. And I went online and got one. There's your Mercury retrograde story for you right there. You want to hear another really interesting Mercury retrograde story? Okay, so this took place not during this Mercury retrograde, but the last one we had. This is a story. This is a story from my mother. She knows somebody. Check this out. Check this out. So my mother knows this family, and the guy, it's his father-in-law. Okay, his father-in-law. It's a true story, by the way. Totally true story. Happened during the Mercury retrograde. This guy's father-in-law has Alzheimer's. Okay, has Alzheimer's, and they moved him into their home. Right, they're watching him and everything, and they signed. It's like they're driving his car now because he can't drive the car. Right, so the father-in-law with Alzheimer's doesn't realize that he's no longer driving and that his son-in-law is driving the car. So he calls the cops because his car is missing. So the cops track this guy down. He's crossing the Bay Bridge, and they find the car because they're tracking the car going across the Bay Bridge, and 6 cop cars descend on this guy, and they pull him over, and they actually handcuff him. Okay, they handcuff this dude because his father-in-law, who has Alzheimer's, forgot that he gave his car to his son-in-law. That happened during the Mercury retrograde. I hope nothing that severe happens to any one of you during Mercury retrograde. So it's just getting started now, and we'll be here for another 3 weeks dealing with the fun of Mercury in the sign of Aries and getting things done. Speaking of getting things done, it was a pretty productive weekend. On Friday night, I met with Friday afternoon, met with Regina Meredith, and we had a really good conversation. And the one thing I really love about Regina, she's open. She's really open. And we actually talked about the Parkland stuff in a way that was not triggering. And she didn't know a lot about it. I had to bring her up to speed. And of course, yesterday was the March of March, or the March in March. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Pluto and Sagittarius. I'm going to talk about the Pluto and Sag kids. And I'm going to talk about what's going on in terms of sort of the big picture and, in my estimation, the psyop that's taking place. So that'll be a part of tonight's show. You know, shoot, I've got I probably have some charts here. Let me find I wanted to read some charts that people have sent in. Let me just see if I can find one. Hold on. Yes. This is my familiar. You know her. This is Rosie. Okay, so see if I can find here. You need to get down. You need to get down. I know you want to be part of everything. Well, let me get down here. Can't really. Okay, so I'm still in the process of moving, boys and girls. So next week I'm going to go back and do personal charts and do some charts on the show. I promise. We're going to get back into it, but I'm still in a transitional phase, as they say. Transitional phase. Okay, so we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to get into this whole Parkland trip, and like I said, Regina was pretty cool about the whole thing. I didn't get too heavy on her. You know, you got to kind of know where to pump the brakes in those interviews, you know, where we can actually, me out of the cat, and we could actually, who's that? Oh, there's Joe. Hi, Joe. And we can actually have a dialogue. And then yesterday, I had a webinar over on Astrology about Chiron and Aries, and it lasted 3.5 hours. If you have any kind of interest in Chiron and Aries, I would suggest you check it out. Okay, check out the Chiron and Aries webinar over on Astrology. It's 3.5 hours, and I totally break down Chiron and Aries. And the last time Chiron was in Aries, which is 1969, I should probably bring some of that up in tonight's show. And that way you guys can kind of vibe on it. And I got a few charts I'm looking at, although I still don't have the ability to make them into graphics, live graphics. Tonight's charts, if you want to look at them on astro.com, are Howard Cosell and Joseph Campbell. Howard Cosell's birthday is on the 24th of March. 25th of March. Joseph Campbell on the 26th of March. The 26th of March. Shall we do the old chart of the moment? I always have to change my birthplace, where I am. Give me a sec here. I'm just going to keep it as Austin. It's a lot easier to type than Fredericksburg. Give me 1 sec here. And then we'll get into the chart of the moment. You might see another appearance from my my other cat, who is also very interested in what goes on sometimes. They're like Boaz and Jachin, these twin pillars. And they have a very interesting language. Like I was hanging out with my male cat last night on my couch, and he made this sound. It was like, wow, wow. And then the female cat came running over, jumped up on the couch, and started giving him a bath. It was, I need to learn that sound. I think I need to learn that sound. Like if I'm in a public place, like a bar, I could make that wow, wow, and see what happens. Could be interesting. Okay, here he comes. He's making his way over here. It's the hero's journey. Speaking to Joseph Campbell. You want to say hi to everybody? You want to say hi? Look, right here. Look, right there. Can you make that noise that I just made? Can you give him a little wow? Huh? Okay. He has no interest in that right now. But he is interested in what I do. They both are in their own way, for different reasons. She's interested in what I do because she's jealous. She's jealous of all of you. He's interested because I think he's interested. I think he's got something going on. It's weird. I'm an animal lover. I have Jupiter and Sag, but I was never like a cat person. And they must have some kind of virus thing. Okay, so let's get into let's cast the chart of the moment. It's going to be in Libra, right? Late Libra, about 20 degrees. Let's check it out here in Texas. Fredericksburg. What do we got? And by the way, I am like plugged directly into my modem, okay? Directly into my modem. And I hope we don't get any latency tonight, because that's one of the reasons why I decided to plug into the modem, obviously, instead of just go like, funky Wi-Fi. Let's go chart of the moment, kick it up. Let's get to the next level here. Okay, here we go. Come on now. There it is. Okay, so yes, late Libra, 25 degrees right here, right now in Austin, Texas. Probably where you are might be a little bit of a different story on the ascendant. I think in the East Coast, you're probably ahead of us and approaching Scorpio. And for all you folks over in the West Coast and the mountain states, you're into the early and middle part of Libra. And for everybody else, good luck, because you're in a very different ascendant. But right here, right now, it's 25 Libra. And whenever this happens, whenever we start to get into the chart of the moment, everything's on the other side of the chart. I guess this is a good time for me to do the show because of all my Libra planets right now, Venus on my ascendant. So we've got Sun in Aries, and we've got that Mars square the Sun. I wonder what's it's not quite exact. It's not quite exact, but it's close. It's close. Tomorrow we'll have an exact square of Mars to the Sun. That should be pretty intense. This is kind of dovetail into what happened this past weekend for the March in March. By the way, don't you think it's really interesting that once Mars went into Capricorn, Trump declares a trade war? I thought that was fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Now, here he comes again. What are you doing? You want to say hi to everybody? No, look that way. Oh, you made that sound. Look that way. This is where the action's happening. It's right there. This is Jasper. When Jasper was so Jasper used to be a street cat. Like he lived on the streets with a street person in San Francisco. And that street person couldn't take care of him. So he wound up going to the shelter. So he was almost like a feral cat when he was first adopted. And every time I move to a new place, he spends the first 24 hours hiding, just like when he was. And that was that little kitty. Is that little kitty in the shelter. He was hidden. And my other cat was a complete extrovert. And I didn't get these cats. They belonged to my son and my ex-wife. But because her fiance, now husband, was cat allergic. She offered them up to me. So I took them because my son loved them. And they're a great addition to my life. Totally great addition. Anyway, let's talk about Mars in Capricorn. So Mars in Capricorn, we have a trade war going on. We have a trade war, and it started with Mars in Capricorn. Mars, of course, being what? Action, anger, violence. War. That's what Mars is and does. It's war. What is Capricorn? Capricorn is the corporation. It is the government. So now we've got a trade war going on with China. Theoretically, who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Right? From a surface level with the tariffs and all the other stuff that's going on, it translates astrologically into a trade war. Okay? We're also dealing with Mars-Saturn conjunction, and we're getting very, very close to that that Mars-Saturn. It's real conjunct on. Oh, you're back again. He's back again. It's real conjunct on Easter at 8 degrees. That's when it gets super conjunct. Okay, listen. I gave you your FaceTime. Okay, you've got to go back down. That may not be the last time this happens. So we're going to have that Mars-Saturn conjunction at 8 degrees on Easter Sunday and the April Fool's Day. Interesting conjunction. Definitely. But it's this frustration. It's not even frustration. There is a degree of cognitive dissonance here. Shall we call it cognitive dissonance in honor of David Hogg? Cognitive dissonance. These people are, they're, where do I begin? Okay. Why don't we begin like this? Let me stay with the chart of the moment. Let's get into some of these aspects, and then I'll kind of unfold what I want to talk about. We got a grand trine going on. Did you know that? Because the moon is in Cancer at 24 degrees. It's a wide trine. Neptune is at 14. A little bit earlier today. I was really trying to do some home improvement stuff today. You'd think that with the moon in Cancer it would have been great. But squaring Mercury retrograde and Aries, I couldn't get it together, man. 3 trips to Ace and Walmart and all those other providers, ultimately leading me to getting the bed online. I guess that's a retrograde. Throw out the old and in with the new, the Aries new. So we do have a very wide grand trine, but the big aspect here is really the Jupiter trine. Right now, Jupiter trine to moon. And I know you're sitting there and you're watching and you're taking in this live stream, and I really appreciate it. I really do. You know, it's just this gives me so much joy and a sense of purpose in my life. But there's also, this is a good time for you with that Jupiter moon trine to feel as if you're connected to a family, you know, connected to some kind of emotion and energy that allows you to feel connected and nurtured and comforted and cared for, right? So we're here, we're in this moment. And I hope that some of you are having a nice cold beverage that you're enjoying, or a nice warm beverage that you're enjoying. And if you're not, then step away from the computer for a couple of minutes and come back and bring something to our experience tonight so we can have a Jupiter moon trine and get nurtured as many levels we possibly can. Okay? Let's do that. So, you know, you can leave your computer on, or you can turn whatever you want to do, but get something, sit down. If you're with another person, you know, hanging out, you know, get a little close to that person, recognize that we're all having a nurturing moment together, because I'm being nurtured by this connection. And I hope that in turn, it's happening similarly for you. And, you know, we need more of that in our world. I mean, gosh, we need more of it. And we need it more in a vital way. In a vital way. You know what the world is lacking? You know what it's lacking? Here, and I'm going to get into the squares right now. I'm going to get into these Aries squares. I'll tell you what the world is lacking. The world is lacking blood, okay? It's lacking blood. And when I say blood, I'm not talking about the blood of people that are killed in places like Afghanistan or Yemen or Syria or East St. Louis. I'm not talking about that kind of blood. I'm talking about blood as in spirit. I'm talking about blood as in duende. I'm talking about blood as in passion, right? This is what the world is lacking. We're lacking that kind of blood. It's not about being passionate about social causes. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about passion about, having a garden, making a meal, sitting down with somebody and having a real connection. I'm going to tell you, I ran into somebody yesterday who has passion. This guy had passion. And sometimes life will bring you teachers when you least expect it. Okay? When you least expect it. So I was hanging out and I was having a little cool libation at my new favorite place here in Fredericksburg called the Navajo Grill, which does not serve anything remotely related to Southwestern style food, although maybe a little bit. But it's a nice place. It's cool, breezy, and they have a little trivia game there I like to play. Anyway, my car wouldn't start. Go to leave, my car would start. And I found out what was wrong with my car. It's a little tiny switch by my clutch. Mercury retrograde, right? Go out to my car, nothing. But I got online, and I found out pretty much what the problem was. Sure enough, I looked down by my clutch because I have a standard shift, and there's these little pieces of plastic that were broken. Like, oh, man. So before that, I called AAA, and they say it's going to take an hour. Like, oh, right. Wow, an hour. So finally, this guy shows up. And he's not in a tow truck. He's in one of the kind of the little battery SUVs. This guy jumps out, and he's got a bald head. And, man, this dude has energy. He's got energy. His name is Vinny. And we get into this dialogue. And I'm like, where are you from? Because he's got an accent. I'm trying to figure out where this guy is from. And eventually he tells me he's from Libya. And I said, man, that's so terrible. What's happened to your country? They said, I know. And he's going on and on about Libya, but he still goes back there. His mother still lives there. And his brother is still in Libya. And he showed me pictures of his brother's fishing boat. And he showed me the Libyan coast, which is as clear as any water that I've ever seen. And then he wanted to know about my last name. This is my my Babylonian name, Morris. And he says, where is that from? And so I told him about the name. And the name is related to this guy named Moritz, who was an Egyptian. And he was conscripted by the Romans. And his captain told him to kill some Christians. And he refused to. So they killed him, and he became a martyr and a saint. This is where we get the name Saint Moritz, which is, you can see clearly in Switzerland. So I told him all about this. Moritz, Morris, Black, comes from Wales. And then he tells me this story about Mark the disciple, who winds up going to Libya and basically carves out a cave and hangs out in this cave. He hangs out in this cave because, he's a heretic. He's in the land of heretics, or he's in the land where he is a heretic. Anyway, this guy just brought so much passion, and he fixed my car. He went down there and he had a penny, and he had a piece of duct tape, and boom, I'm off and running. The reason why I'm bringing this up is this guy had passion. He had passion. He spoke passionately about where he lived and his life there. And he says when he goes there with his wife and his kids and they stay in his mother's house, you know what he does? He sleeps in his old bedroom which is exactly the way it was when he was a kid. I know you might think it's weird, but he goes back and he revisits himself. He revisits the innocence. The innocence. It's another thing we're kind of missing in this world. It's innocence. But it's that duende. It's not the passion about a social cause, or it's not the passion about some kind of thing that you believe in, right? It's the passion for the little things. And all those little tiny passionate moments add up to a person that has spirit and life, passion, duende. I was watching the broadcasts of the marches. I'm about to get into them. But one of the things that I saw was Owen Schroyer for InfoWars. He was at the Capitol here in Texas, and of course he was poking the dog with a stick. That's what he was doing. And I was watching the footage, and I was watching people go by. And what I saw was a lot of lifelessness. That's what I saw. And there's a difference between anger and passion. You can summon anger. Like we saw the anger being summoned back in 2016, prior to the Republican convention. There's a lot of anger, a lot of rage. Wherever Trump showed up, there's a lot of anger. That's not passion. Let's not confuse the two. But I was watching people. I was watching them walk through the March for March. They were asleep. They were asleep. What I saw was a populace that was not passionate. It's not passionate. Yes, I know. I talk about Yeats. The worst are those filled with passion, intensity, while the best of all conviction. That's about the social program. That's about what's going on out there. No, I'm talking about internally, the passion in our lives. And here we have all this Aries going on right now. We have Sun in Aries, Mercury in Aries, Venus in Aries, Uranus in Aries. That's fire. That is fire. Absolute fire. So guess what? Saturn is squaring the Sun. Pluto is squaring Mercury and Venus and Uranus. And what does Pluto do? Pluto challenges us. Pluto is the force that transforms our relationship to whatever it is in theoretical conflict with, right? So when Pluto is squaring Venus and Uranus and Mercury, of course, Mercury's going retrograde. It's going to be squaring off against the Sun here pretty soon in 16 days. 16 days from now, we're in Pluto Sun square. I think that's right around the same time, by the way. Mars is conjunct Pluto. About 16 days from now. That's going to be an intense time. Look, what happened in Parkland has triggered a series of events, and we are at a tipping point. I'm telling you that right now. We're at a tipping point. We are at a tipping point. And we are dealing with yet another divide and conquer strategy. Now it's the youth versus the elderly, right? It's the youth versus the elderly. Let me see if I can find this piece that Young Hogg was talking about. Hold on. So, and this will encapsulate to a large degree the new divide. The new divide that I'm talking about. The new divide and conquer. The new duality. It's always about duality, right? It's always about duality. Okay, so here we go. So let me see if I can pull this up here. Let me go back. Give me 1 second. So what I'm looking for here is what David Hogg was talking about. Let me see if I can encapsulate it. And some of you are probably already found it. He was talking about how when using vulgarity, how when your parent can't send a text like, give me the fucking phone so I can fucking send it. It's the same way that we feel about government. Move the fuck over. We'll take care of it. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm not paraphrasing too far off. Okay, so and the reason I wanted to share that with you was because it illustrates another version of this divide. Okay, so when I was talking with Regina on Friday, I shared with her a bit of a code that I had cracked. And now I'm going to share it with you because I already shared it with her first. So we can see kind of the divide and conquer movement through astrology since 2009. Okay, so follow me here. All right. In 2009, what did we have? We had the big financial crisis, negative amortization, toxic debt, people's houses going underwater, and of course, on the money side, all the people who had made those terrible bets, those terrible investments, over leveraging toxic debt, which they knew of, by the way, they were all compensated. They were all compensated, but the American public, they weren't compensated, and people lost their homes. They lost their homes because of a huge oversight that was allowed to take place. So what did we have there? We had a great divide between what? The haves and the have-nots. 1% versus the 99%. And where was that conflict taking place? Astrologically, it was the second house. What did we have? We had the Occupy movement. And this is where we had the 1% versus the 99%. And that's a second house issue. You're dealing with hard assets. You're dealing with hard resources. You're dealing with your home. You're dealing with land, hard money. Now, there's some eighth house reverberations. Don't get me wrong, because there are loans involved. But people lost money. People lost serious money. Second house, okay? All right. So Obama gets elected, and we have that second house crisis, which is Bush-Obama. And where is the next crisis, and what is the next crisis? It is the crisis between what? Starting with Trayvon Martin, the death of Trayvon Martin, Martian, Mars. Trayvon Martin, by the way, Aquarius, revolution. And we have the ensuing deaths of Michael Brown and Freddie Gray. And, it was basically 3 years worth of police brutality. And what was that all about, right? What was that all about? Well, we had Black Lives Matter. Well, what about all the other lives? Don't all lives matter? No, just Black Lives Matter. So now what do we have here? We have a conflagration between the black and the whites, right? I mean, this is what happened. Race relations took a hard turn left and then down when Obama was in office. And I'll never forget, prior to all of this theater, and I'll be clear, there is police brutality. Don't get me wrong. There is profiling. Don't get me wrong. But then there's politicizing it, and it's like throwing kerosene on and again, I don't want to use this pejoratively. It's like throwing kerosene on a campfire, all right? It's what it's like. It's what it was like. And at no point did Obama ever say, we need to come together. No, instead, he was in the White House hanging out with D. Ray McKesson 30 to 40 times over the course of a 3-month period, okay? That's what happened. So when we get into black and whites, we get into duality, what house are we talking about? Third house. It's Gemini's house. Okay. This was divide and conquer, 1%, 90%, the haves versus have-nots. Third house, black and white, divide and conquer, duality. By the way, like where are the major where's the major action happening now with Black Lives Matter? It's not. It's not. Have we seen any major look? I hate to say it, okay, but we live in a violent country. And one of the places that has the toughest gun laws out of any other place in this country is the most violent, and it's Chicago. And you could find one poor son of a bitch in Chicago every single day if you wanted to, and you could turn that into a political event if you wanted to. This happens across America constantly. But it was only during Obama where, when this happened, was it used for a political agenda. It wasn't manufactured, but it was certainly pushed and marketed so that it could divide and conquer, bring up the gun issue, have people run out and buy more guns, which of course the United States government actually made some profit off of because they're invested in bullets. They actually own some money in bullet companies. So when America buys guns, the United States government profits. Did you know that? It's true. It's true. This is a third house issue, black and white. Okay, fast forward. All right, where do we polarize next? Well, it all starts with Harvey Weinstein, doesn't it? Harvey Weinstein and all the little minions who, and rightfully so, basically said that Harvey Weinstein groped them and jerked off in front of them and did all that nasty shit that Harvey Weinstein did, even though they gladly took the films that Harvey Weinstein offered them as a result. Salma Hayek, hello. But that's where it started. We get into Me Too. Okay, we get into Me Too. It's mostly women. Mostly women saying, I've had enough. This is what happened to me. And in some cases, highly justified. Highly justified. Other cases, got to cringe a little bit, okay? Dustin Hoffman is a perfect example. He's got a checkered past. And by the way, nothing's happened to Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman has moments where he's done some inappropriate things with some young women, 16, 17 years old. And then there are women who are like 23, 24, again, of their own volition, who decided they were going to do something with Dustin Hoffman. And they're coming forward with Me Too. Anyway, we have the whole Me Too train. It's really it's a mixed bag. At the end of the day, do we obviously want to treat women respectfully? Of course we do. It goes without question. Okay. So what are we talking about here now? We're talking about the feminine essence, right? The feminine essence. Feminine essence. We talk about astrology. What are we talking about in terms of the feminine essence? Well, there's the sun, which is the masculine essence, and there is the moon, which is the feminine essence. Am I right? Yes, I'm right. What house rules the feminine essence? What house is the ruler of the moon? Fourth house. Fourth house. Okay, let's go back. Let's retrack. 2009, we have the financial crash. We have Occupy. We have us financially versus them financially. We have the whole space of cop shootings, and we have the increased level of racial tension, black and white, duality. That's Gemini. That's house 3. Okay. Then we have Me Too with the feminine standing up, standing out, saying enough is enough, hands off. What house is that? Fourth house. Okay, let's bring it up to present current time. What do we have next? We have Parkland, which is a high school, right? High school. And it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. And who populates a high school? Well, they're not quite adults yet, are they? No, they're children. They're children. 14-year-olds populate high schools. They're still children. Yes, biologically, theoretically, they can bring a child into the world, but they're still children on many levels. So, what are we dealing with? What house deals with children? It's the 5th house. Can you see where this is going? Started with the 2nd, goes to the 3rd, goes to the 4th, and now we're in the 5th. We're in the 5th house where we have these conflagrations, chaos, strife, correct? Yes. And real social atomization. And now it's men versus women. First of all, it was us versus them with the 2nd house. Black versus white, duality with the 3rd house. Men versus women with the 4th house. And now we have youth versus adults in the 5th house. You see this? Well, guess where it's going next? What comes after the 5th house? The 6th house. That's right. The 6th house. What is the 6th house? Well, let's see. The 6th house is health. That's number 1. Number 2 represents work, purpose, service, and dharma. Okay? Those are your basic 6th house definitions. So I would say that the next big bit of chaos here is going to be in the workplace. It's going to be in the workplace. And it can manifest in 2 separate ways. One, it can manifest as workplace violence. We just saw this whole bomb thing happen here in Austin and San Antonio. It's ridiculous. But part of this is important because they captured theoretically on video whoever that person was. That's the ridiculous part. Yellow, blonde wig, and pink gloves. Who wouldn't be drawing attention to themselves? Right? I mean, come on. If you're going to wear gloves, why not wear flesh tone gloves? How about that? Or maybe, just maybe, all you want to do is put some glue over your fingertips so you don't have any fingerprints. Am I right? I'm not a professional bomb maker, but if I was going to do that, I probably wouldn't wear pink gloves inside of a FedEx building, which is wired up. But clearly, this is a workplace situation. Well, there's going to be more. And it could be workplace situation in that maybe we might have violence in the workplace, or we may have strikes. Okay? We may have strikes. Because remember, the left is very good at organizing strikes. And that's where they hit hard back in the late 30s, 40s, 50s. The story of Henry Ford and his son, man, that's a crazy story. You should look that up. And the conflict that they had, and the relationship with the unions and all this other stuff. Anyway, fascinating. So if we follow the pattern, the 6th house is the next place we're going to have chaos. That's the next place. And it actually stands to reason because guess what? School's out soon. School will be out in March, April. We got about, a month and a half, maybe 2 months worth of school. And then once that's over, that whole cadre that was like amazingly tapped into and executed over the weekend will no longer be available. They'll be off summer vacation and, having their gap year or whatever. So that'll leave the workplace to be next. Anyway, I just wanted to share what I saw as a pattern that started in 2009 and that we're in it and we're about ready to go into another phase of that pattern. Okay, let me talk a little bit about Parkland. And let me talk about this march that took place in Washington, D.C. And I wanted to talk about it from the perspective of Pluto and Sag, which is a generation that's just really kind of starting to come of age a little bit politically. And I say a little bit because the first wave of Pluto and Sag was hitting the birth canals in 1996, which means that the most advanced or the most mature or the earliest crop of Pluto and Sag kids are going to be 22 years old. They may be just a tad late for what's going on with David Hogg and his minions. Although I do believe that David Hogg is actually a late millennial. I believe David Hogg is probably around 24 or 25. That's my sense. I think he's much older than most of his Parkland mates. And of course, it's always the same kids. By the way, what are they? The Parkland 6? The Parkland 6 was flown. They were flown from Florida to Washington, D.C. on Robert Kraft, okay, who is the owner of the New England Patriots, his private jet. So the undertone with this, right, symbolically, is that these kids are what? Patriots. They're patriots by association with Robert Kraft, whom I believe is a dual citizen, if I'm not mistaken. He clearly has a very deep investment in Israel. Yeah. So they got flown to Washington, D.C. on Kraft's private jet, the Patriots jet. How about that? Interesting stuff, huh? So the majority of the kids now that they're tapping into probably around 18 years old, 18, 17 years old, and a little bit younger. So if you break down the Pluto and Sag kids, I think it's like 96 to about 2000, and that group had Uranus in Aquarius and Neptune in Aquarius, as well as Pluto and Sag. And then after that, Uranus goes into Pisces, and then Neptune. Let me see. Neptune. No, it was like Neptune stayed in Aquarius, right? Stayed in Aquarius because it was there for a while. That's right. It was there for a while. And Uranus went into Pisces. That's where my kid's Uranus is. But the first wave has Uranus and Neptune in Aquarius. And if you go back and you look at the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, that's where Uranus was. It was in Aquarius. It was around, I think, around 17 degrees, right around there. So a lot of these kids have the same Uranian. Like the last time Uranus was in Aquarius was during the Bolshevik Revolution, right? So these kids are sort of the biological manifestation of that previous cycle. So they're kind of hardwired for revolution. Now you go to the group below them, who have Uranus and Pisces and Neptune in Aquarius. They're a little bit different. And I think that group is kind of like being pulled along by the tide. You know, they're between the ages of, 10 and 15, 16 years old, right around that, about a 6-year gap. And I think from like a revolutionary aspect, which is what Aquarius is, Neptune doesn't have a lot of discernment. It doesn't. It's like, oh, yeah, well, we'll go along with the tide. That's what we'll do. We'll go along with the tide. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing a group, which is, again, Pluto and Sagittarius can be zealous. If they think they have the truth, then, by the way, have you seen David Hogg's Nazi band? It's creepy. I mean, I put this up on Facebook. There's a picture of him wearing a shirt and a tie, and he's got this band on his arm, and of course it's got a peace sign, okay? But the peace sign is the broken cross, and it is the rune Algiz, and it is reversed. And when Algiz is upright, it represents the antlers of an elk. Okay, that's what it represents. It looks like this, and that's protection. That is protection. Reversed, the elk's head is down. It is down, and it is vulnerable. Okay, so this is what the peace sign is: the broken cross just like this, and all of a sudden goes, right? And it's also algae's reversed. And even though it's a little peace symbol, he's wearing this thing on his arm, and he looks like a freaking brown shirt. I swear to God. You know, and they're like, and Emma Gonzalez, she's got her military gear on. She looks like a full-on, you know, Che Guevara, Cuban guerrilla. It's like they're tapping into these memes. It's like Emma Gonzalez is Che Guevara, and David Hogg is like Joseph Goebbels. You know, David Hogg is coming on like, you know, he's coming on like. Anyway. Here's the big cognitive dissonance with the event. And I'm going to talk about this again tomorrow to some extent. While there is a lot of noise, a lot of volume about guns and how we should not have guns or certain types of guns, if you watch the footage, what took place, Washington, D.C., there were more cops, more police, more army, more state troopers in Washington, D.C. was, talk about occupied. It was like an occupied territory. So what's the message here? Well, here's the message. There is not one guy or gal who might have been there as a member of our hardworking armed forces, the people that serve and protect us. Not one of them fired an errant bullet into the crowd. They were practicing a safe relationship with firearms. Am I right? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they were. They were practicing the safe, because if they have the firearms, everything is just fine. Everybody is protected. You can speak your First Amendment rights, and you can shout the Second Amendment right down and curse it to hell. And guess what? You'll be protected by the people that have the guns. That's the message. That's the message. They'll be protected by the people that have the guns. Because the people that don't have the guns, well, they won't be able to do shit. It's a severe imbalance, I know. But let's not get lost in the details. Let's not get lost in the weeds around it. So yesterday, I had a great webinar with Astrology. And one of the things that I looked at was the last time Chiron was in Aries. 1969 was a very big year for Chiron in Aries. And it was a very big year in the United States for, guess what? Protests. Protests. And do you know who stormed onto the national stage in 1969 with Chiron and Aries? It was the Weathermen, the Weather Underground, Bill Ayers, Bernadine Dorn, and all the rest of them. They basically took over. They took over the anti-war and the free speech movement. They took it by storm. There's a very interesting documentary out about the Weather Underground. You should check it out. Gives you an idea of what they were into, what they were up to, what their ideology was, where they came from. 99.9% of them came from very well-to-do families who like to indulge in social Marxism. You know, it's weird. You know, it's like Bill Ayers' father was the head of like a major utility company in Chicago. Like he like, you know, this guy was in charge of Chicago Power. I mean, we're talking like not figurative power, but literal power. He had a lot of money, but he was a communist. He was a social Marxist. It's kind of like there's this. I don't know what it is. Is it white guilt? Is that what it is? It's like, oh man, I'm making all this money. You know, I think I got to destroy the rest of the country while I'm making it. Is that what it is? I don't get it. I don't quite get it. You know, anyway. So Chiron and Aries, that's when the Weather Underground stormed the protest movement, 1969. And where are we right now? Chiron and Aries. And what do we have right now? We've got the Parkland 6. It's not quite the Chicago 7, but it's the Parkland 6. And we may see more of the Parkland 6 over the summer. It'll be interesting to see what they do with young David Hogg moving forward. Be very interesting. But really, at the end of the day, that's that Mars and Saturn, right? That Mars and Capricorn energy. It's the people with the guns that we can trust. That's what's going on. But unfortunately, we're dealing with this kind of ideology. If I was a millennial, I'd be kind of pissed. I really would be, because now all of a sudden it's like these high schoolers have like stolen their thunder in a lot of ways. And there were some millennials hanging out. I'd love to see like a millennials versus Generation Z. That would be interesting. Gen Y versus Gen Z. That'd be interesting. I'd just sit back there and like, I'd get some popcorn to watch that. Let me just check in with everybody in the chat room. Let's see how people are doing in there. Been riffing here for a while. Teacher protest has already started. Yeah, teachers. Did you hear about the teachers in Philadelphia where they were given buckets of rocks, 5 pounds worth of rocks? That's how they're going to deal with everybody. 5 pounds worth of rocks. Gender wars. Yeah, that was part of it too. That definitely came in. That's part of that duality. That's part of Gemini, right? That's a third house thing. Going from a man to a woman. Certainly gender wars. Absolutely. Millennials are too lazy. Millennials, I think the millennials are wounded. I think they have some legitimate grievances and wounds. That's what I think. But I also think they've been coddled a little bit. Let's talk questions. Questions. Mewtwo. I like that. Shannon says, just in time with Mewtwo. Yeah, when are the cats going to have their protests? That's what I want to know. When are they going to have their protests? School strikes. School strikes might be coming. I think it's going to be in the summertime. I think we're going to see labor strikes. I think we'll see some labor strikes. Go back through here. Let's see. Some analysis. Let's see what else we have. My mom lost 90 grand. Yeah, I'm telling you, that was a rough time, man. I saw a great interview on white guilt and how demoralizing it is. It includes some eye-opening true history and misconceptions through, guess what? MSM, not allowed to link here, of course. Hey, there's Justin. What's going on, Justin? Most protesters are paid actors. They had a lot of people out this weekend. A lot of people. I would agree with you on some of those points. The right person showed up for you. The universe is so perfect. Yeah, man, that dude really saved the day. He was great. I loved Vinny. Real passion. Dogs have owners, cats have staff. That is hilarious. Upcoming full moon. Looking kind of nasty. Shall we get into the full moon a little bit? Shall we look at that? All right. Let's do it. Let's look at that full moon. Yeah, I've heard other people talking about this full moon coming up. So what are we... Is it full moon? Rosie, is it full moon in Libra? Is that what it is? Now I'm talking to my cats. They belong to a union, by the way. I have to pay them scale. All right, let's see. Let's look at that old full moon. I think I know where I'm going to be in this full moon. There's a place out here called Enchanted Rock. Okay. So let's see. Pisces. You got the new moon. So it looks like we're going full. Yeah, that's going to be on Easter Sunday. That's when we have that Mars-Saturn conjunction. Last time Mars was in Saturn. Last time Mars and Saturn were conjunct was when Mars was in Sag. It was 2 years ago, and Saturn was in Sag, and that was when Trump had that dinner that he was at in New York, that Al Smith memorial dinner with Hillary. Which if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. You should totally watch it. It's on YouTube. It'll blow your mind. Look at the people in the background. You'll get a sense as to who's who and what's what. Okay, so we have the full moon. So it's opposite the sun, obviously. Always a dynamic tension with the moon in Libra, sun in Aries. That's, to me, that's power. That's a power struggle. Because moon in Libra wants to get along, right? We get along, make things balanced. And the sun in Aries is, let's do it my way. And then we have Mercury retrograde at 12 and Venus in Taurus at 0. It's just going in. Okay, that'll be interesting. And then Mars in Cap and Saturn in Cap. The sun is not quite conjunct Uranus, but between Sunday night and Monday morning, the moon will be opposite Uranus. That's really destabilizing. And then we'll also have that moon-Pluto square. This is a nasty full moon. Linda's all over it. Man, this is like power struggle lore. And you know what we've got here? We've got an absence of water. I mean, sure, Jupiter's in Scorpio, but it's retrograde. It's like we're looking for water. We're looking for receptivity. We're looking for the deep well of understanding, going beneath the surface, finding the psychic or the subconscious, the deep subconscious motivation for things. Neptune is in Pisces, but Neptune and Pisces, man, we're in that second decan now of Neptune and Pisces. So we're in that Cancerian decan. And it's like really emotional, right? Oh, our babies, our children. Oh, it's all second decan, Neptune and Pisces. Oh, everybody's got to be safe. I mean, isn't that Cancer? Am I right? It's totally where it's at. And then Pluto, of course, 21. Pluto's now in that third decan. It's in Taurus, right? Hold on. No, it's in Virgo. It's in Virgo. Yeah, Virgo and things like production. You know what I did? I did a Mercury. I had an empowering moment with Mercury retrograde. It was really empowering. Here's the other one. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Come on. It's your moment. This is Rosie. It's Rosie. Right there. Okay. So I don't like to buy things on Amazon. I just don't. But every now and then, it's like an addiction, I'm trying to curb the addiction. I don't spend a lot. I'm not a big materialistic person. Saturn in my second house is seen that. So, but I did. It's like I'm in this new place, and I rediscovered that I got a ton of albums, and they're really heavy. They're really heavy. I don't really want to move them again. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to buy a USB turntable and I'm going to rip them. That's the idea, right? So I go into Amazon. I find one that's affordable, and I need a little amp, and I find that I buy it. $115 purchase. Not a lot. So they say it's going to be my place by Friday. Great. Looking forward to it. I want to pack my album, set up my desk, and play some music. I've got all kinds of great albums. Maybe I should show you one. Should I show you some of my albums that are so cool? Hold on. These just aren't any albums. Okay. Original. Vinyl by the Shaman. Move Any Mountain. Classic dance track. Double album set. Look at this. Relaxing. Body and Mind. The Milton Thayer School of Dance and Relaxation. Narrated by Milton Thayer. Secrets of the Beehive. David Sylvian. This is for you. It's for you, Steve. I mean, I got all these great albums. Oh, by the way, incredibly rare, one of the best records of all time, Tony OK, Life in the Food Chain. He does a song called Hatred on this record. It's a kind of a punk rock record. I'm tempted to recite some of the lyrics. So I get all this great vinyl. Look at this. Like, this stuff is rare, man. This is like Metal Spark, Metal Detector, and Kickstart from the Blue Room. Anyway, I wanted to play this stuff. Rip it. So I order it, and it gets fouled up. The order gets fouled up. Now, it's supposed to be at my house yesterday, and it goes to a FedEx facility not very far from here, just outside of San Antonio. Now, I'm tracking this thing, and then it gets sent to Houston. I'm like, why is it getting sent to Houston? Like, it was closer before, and now it's not going to get here till Tuesday. Talk about Mercury retrograde, right? So you know what I did? I called FedEx, didn't get what I was looking for. Called Amazon, didn't get what I was looking for. You know what I did? I canceled the order. I got into Mercury retrograde. I got up all in Mercury retrograde's shiz ass and said, I'm sending it back. That's right. I'm sending it back. I want my money back. I took control. I got on the reins of Mercury retrograde and sent that back. You know what I said? I said to the gal at Amazon, of course, she's in a call center in the Philippines or something. And I said, you know, you could put down on your little list that it didn't get there. And if I accept it, I'm just going along with the program. But if I send it back, I guarantee you somebody at Amazon somewhere up here on the food chain is going to try to figure out why it got sent back. And they're going to look into it. And by the way, the reason I sent it back, not just because I wanted to take control of Mercury retrograde, that's part of it. That's part of it. But because I saw that this FedEx, I read the reviews of this FedEx place just outside of San Antonio. They're terrible. They're terrible. Yeah, so once the package leaves Amazon, they've got no responsibility for it, right? None whatsoever. Well, they should. They should have a better working relationship with their partners, i.e. FedEx. So anyway, I'm going to go get an amp from a different place, a different kind of turntable, and that's my story about taking control of Mercury retrograde, and you can too. You can too. I think we need a little peace. We need some peace in this world. And I think it's going to be at a pretty intense commodity, pretty scarce commodity, maybe over the next few weeks. Fingers crossed. All right, let's see if anybody else has anything else to say. I was gonna do a couple of charts tonight. Let's see, what do we have here? Yeah, so Regina and I talked on Friday. Did the package have a bomb? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I have Mercury retrograde, and I find it barely affects. It's true. I've talked to people that have. Did I do the Austin package bombings? Yeah, right. That is so funny. Yeah, that's why I left Austin. You know, I had to go to Fredericksburg. They were hot on my tail. Let's see, but it went to, no, it didn't go to Austin. It went to Houston, Mr. White Trash. Went to Houston. Hey, it's a good time to get Mercury out of your feelings, by the way. If you have, seriously, Mercury retrograde, Aries, if you want to do some metal extraction, it'd be great. Great time to do it. Let's see, anybody else? You know, I'm just going to keep it really short tonight. I'm not going to do any charts. I feel like we're going to keep it short. It's 10 o'clock. Normally, this would be 9 o'clock, and I would extend it for a little bit. So, yes, I hung out with Regina yesterday, and not yesterday, on Friday, and we did an hour. And that'll be on her show this week. And then I have my course that I did on astrological.com on Chiron and Aries. Hi, Dream Dream. All right. Anybody else want to say anything here? This looks like Robert's going to hand out some wrenches. Haven't noticed trolls. Oh, yeah. There's a few trolls. It's okay. It's good. All trolls are welcome. All trolls are welcome. We love you, trolls. Even trolls need love. Even trolls need love. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Let's all have a collective embrace. Let's all bring the troll close to us and just give that troll some love, some deep love that troll really, really needs. It's crying out for in all of its trollness. Come on, troll. It's okay. We love you too. We love you too. We're unconditional here. By the way, I just want to say that you people are woke. You are woke. I love you all. That's my duende moment to you. I don't have a ton of followers, but I tell you, it is a nice core people. It is a community, and I love every one of you, and I learn from every one of you too. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a two-way street here. I follow you as much as you theoretically follow me, right? We're all in this together. We're all in it together. I'm woken. Going to sleep soon. All right. Well, white trash, you have a lovely, lovely sleep and a lovely set of dreams. And that goes out for every single one of you as well. Okay? So you know what to do. You know what to do. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to accept what's possible. I will be broadcasting tomorrow. I realize if we give up against absolutely KC. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow on 15 Minutes of Flame. We'll have more of the same and then some. So you know what to do right there, from my heart to yours. God bless. It's been a great little live stream. We're back on track, and I'll see you guys next Sunday night. Take care.